Hello, amigos. So this week I had learned about custom events and I had a video prepared for it. I was about to upload it when I saw React has another version out, React 18. And when that happens, you've got to talk about it. You cannot wait. The curiosity took over me and then I had to look into it. Now, turns out there are three major updates to React 18. The one is batch updates. The second is start transition. It's an API. And then the third one is server render. In this video, we'll be talking about batch updates feature of React 18. Simply put, it's a mechanism wherein React batches all the state updates and only does one render and not multiple render for each of the state updates. For example, let's say we have data A and data B. These are two variables which we are using in our function, in our hooks, for example, right? And then we always say set state A, set state B. Now what happens behind the scene is React batches all these state updates so that every time a set state is called, it doesn't have to render it, because remember, rendering is very costly. In a way, React already does it. So 16, 17 and previous versions already do that, but that's mostly for dummy kind of event, on mouse in, on mouse out, click, for example. If you have multiple state updates, React does batch them up and render it only once, but not for non-dummy events. For example, set interval, set timeout, and most importantly, the fetch API. So anything you do via fetch, and in the response you say set A, set B, set state A, set state B, set state C, there would be multiple rendering happening because of that. And that is the problem precisely what React 18 fixes. So without me blabbering much, let's see some code. So what I have over here is an out-of-box Create React app, which is version to be 17. We will replicate the problem over here and then upgrade the version, of course. I have modified some files, deleted them, the CSS which I don't need, and then I have mentioned a test function. That's it, right? Now let's see what really happens behind the scene when a batching update is being done. So to replicate the scenario, I would create a component, a small component, which will print how many times it is rendering itself. I am renderer. I'm rendering, let's call it. And whenever it renders, it does a console.log rendering, and then we simply return a cute div, which is rendering. Or let's say I am rendering, right? And over here, I can then, let's get rid of class name. I don't need this. And then over here, I can simply say, don't fret much, just do I am rendering, right? But of course, we need to do some state changes. For that, use state is our friend. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's call it state A. There won't be much to show if there is not more than one state, right? Because otherwise, how will we batch? Let's take it null. Null. Okie dokie. Perfect. But of course, we have to change our state, right? Somehow. And I will use effect. Always a good idea to put any kind of state updates over there. And here, nothing spectacular. I simply say set state A to be A. Let's call it A. Let's call it B. Voila. Looks good. We need to import. Use state and use effect. Now, does it compile? If it does, that will already be something. Yes. And oh, look at how many times it has rendered. Twice. And of course, the first time the component mounts, That is the rendering for the first cycle, and then in the end, when after the component is has mounted, React's call use effect. There are two state updates, but see that the rendering is only happening once, so that is already React 17 is batching the state updates. But the problem will come when I do something non-reactive, non-DOMy. For example, set timeout. Now, if I do this and let's call it 100 times, so what would happen? Rum tum 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 tum. What would happen? How many times? One, two, 300, 400, I don't know, 500. It's three times. First time when the render happened, and then state A, and one for state A and one for state B. Sorry, it has to be B, my mistake, but the the number remains the same. It doesn't matter because we are changing the states. And this is precisely the problem which React 18 helps us solve. But before I do that, of course, I need to install the latest version of React. So let's go ahead. We install npm I React at alpha and React DOM at alpha. As the name suggests, it's alpha release. So of course, we should not be using it in our production environments. The updates are done. Let's quickly have a look at our package.json. As you can see, we have the 18 version, which is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and do npm start. I would like to see if it actually breaks something. As per the documentation of React, if you're using hooks, it should not. Everything should be rendering fine. So let's go ahead. We do it. Uh, we do see the three entries still, so pretty nice. But there is an error. React DOM.render is no longer supported in React 18. The reason for that is because React team has released a new API which we should be using to render our application. It's for the backward compatibility. Of course, render function is still there. So let's go ahead and quickly change it in our index.js. We don't need this. Control KC. The way to tap into the new functionality is to use the create root API. So we will first get the root element, which document.get element by ID, and then we say react dom dot create root, the root element, and then we say render the we need to render our app. That should do the trick. If I refresh it, voila, we can see that the error has gone and it's only rendering it twice. Just to check it out, you can see I'm still having this set timeout, and then the rendering is happening twice. This is a pretty simple scenario. You might say that, okay, it's just a set timeout, but the big daddy over here is of course the fetch API or Axios or whatever Ajax kind of work which you do. Uh, the fix works over there also. Cool, cool. Last but not the least, what if for some foreseeable reason, or maybe you just want to have fun, you'll say, nah, I would really like to have uh, a separate render for each of my state updates. Now, that is also possible. The way to do that is to use the flush function given to us by the new React application. So for that, React library. So what I would do, I would go something like flush sync from React DOM. And now what I can say is, okay, React, I know what I'm doing. Please go ahead and use a separate rendering for these state updates. That's what flush sync does. It flushes from the React DOM. So let's go ahead and do this. And let's be now. In this case, we should again see three entries for rendering. If I do this, Control F5, as you can see, we have the three entries back. So it's same as the previous state. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I will put the code on GitHub. The link is in description. And if you like this video, if you learned something new, please hit share, like, and subscribe. Please share and subscribe. It will mean a lot to me. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.